Mastering all of my change foot spins in 2023 was a new year goal of mine, so here's an update on my 6-month progress. So these clips, I'll start by showing you from December. If you watched my last video, this is where I started at when I was like challenging myself to progress. That was my forward scratch spin, pretty consistently looked like that at that time. This is the second half of the change foot spin. That was a really good change foot spin for that time because it definitely was not consistent like that. I wasn't confident in my backspin, that's kind of why it was like that. But honestly, the amount of like distance that it travels is kind of still the same. I haven't figured out how to not make it travel. This was a pretty good backspin I did. I was really proud of that. I was practicing my backspin in isolation so I could get better at doing a change foot spin like I did here. This was right before I took a break from skating, I think, because I had injured my foot. So I had gotten pretty good at the change foot spin, I think. Still traveled quite a bit when I went into that third forward scratch spin, but it pretty consistently looked like this during April, and then I took a break, and then when I came back, I didn't practice it very much because I was like, oh yeah, I figured out how to do it, so I don't really need to practice it. And then because I didn't practice it, it kind of got like wonky, you know. I mainly just practiced like back scratch spins for a while, so this is probably the height of my change foot spin right here. This time I wanted to practice only my back scratch because the exit, I had a lot of trouble with exiting out of it because I would drop my hip and my foot would land on the ice. So this was a really good day, honestly. I figured out if I look at my left hand, then it helps me stay centered. It was pretty fast. That's probably like the fastest I've done a back scratch. And I was actually able to exit out of these each time I did them. This one I was pretty proud of because I was actually off balance when I went into it at first, but then I caught myself, so yeah, I like watching these clips. This is the first time in a while that I actually practiced my change foot spin because like I said, I took a break, so you'll see here that I'm a little bit out of practice. It traveled a lot and the change foot part wasn't very fast or stable, but I tried. Okay, this clip my feet are cut off, but hopefully you can tell like my body is centered here, at least on the forward part while I'm spinning. The back scratch too, it's just that third one, you know, we have like the 3-foot roll that you can travel while you're spinning. That third spin just really gets me every time. I needed to learn the change foot spin to pass out of a level, so whenever I passed out of the level, that's why I stopped practicing it because I didn't really like need it anymore, and it's not exactly my favorite spin. The reason this says bullet spin in parentheses is because if you notice in December, every time I tried to do a sit spin, I grabbed my foot. Okay, not every time, like 90% of the time. Because I didn't have the leg strength to keep my foot off the ice, so the only way I could actually do a sit spin was by holding my leg to keep my foot off the ice. Thankfully, I've gained some leg strength, so I don't actually need to hold my leg anymore while I'm doing it. You can see here I'm not grabbing my leg anymore, so that's good. My leg is still kind of slanted though, which really bugs me. Like if you notice, my knee is kind of like bent, which gets on my nerves, and my foot is kind of slanted. But here I'm trying to do the change foot part. I haven't really figured out how to do a back sit spin, honestly. That's why I keep falling. But aside from my back spin, I think my forward spin has definitely improved a lot in my form, like how much my back is leaning over and I can sit more of a 90-degree angle. Except for this day, I think I was actually a little bit higher than a 90-degree angle, kind of overcorrected a little bit. But the backspin part is getting a little bit easier. It's like some days it's good and then some days it's really hard. But this day I also decided to practice doing the backspin by itself for the first time. It was pretty hard. My right leg is definitely not as strong as my left leg, but here you can see I'm trying to do a backspin by itself. It's pretty hard to get down low. I kept making my outside edge. I was like on my outside edge when I was trying to do my backspin, and my foot, like it wasn't straight, so I wasn't sitting straight down on my foot. So it was pretty difficult. This was today, and I think this was the best I've done. Now for my camel spin. So you're gonna see my forward camel spin back in December, which wasn't that bad, honestly. I don't know why when I came out of it, I decided to do a layback instead of exiting normally. But even though the backspin or the camel spin looks pretty good in these clips, I promise it was not always like that, because the majority of the time, the upper part of my body was lifted too high, almost like I was standing, so I couldn't really stay flat. So as you see in these clips in May, this is where I started being more consistent, where I could actually keep my chest down, and there I was trying to do a layback camel. But yeah, this was, I finally got pretty consistent where I could keep my chest down like this when I'm doing my camel, and I'm pretty proud of that. This one in particular, it felt really like steady when I went into my camel, so I decided like on the spot to do a combo spin. So there's a little sit spin, and then I went to do a back spin, and then I did a forward spin, which I probably should have left that one off because I was really dizzy after this. I can't do a change camel without falling yet, so I'm trying to practice a back camel by itself, which is, it's very challenging because sometimes I open my shoulders too much and then I just like fall on my back. But I think once I get this down, then I can combine it with the forward camel, and maybe it'll be easier to do a change camel. By the way, this is what I was talking about when my chest is too high. It's really frustrating when that happens. It's exciting to see the progress I made in the past 6 months. I hope that I can have these consistent and confident within the next 6 months. Thanks for watching!